Hello, Go fans. It's the end of another week, and that typically means that I would go ahead and play some Dons for your entertainment, and maybe education as well. However, I've been feeling a bit under the weather this weekend, so I'd do something a little bit different instead. If you are like me, you probably go ahead and follow professional games. Typically, in the course of a week, there's a lot of them. But which ones should you pay attention to? You can't really review all of them, certainly can't study all of them, otherwise you'd be horribly backlogged, with many, many games to go over, and probably not enough time to do it. So I think I'd go ahead and call your attention to these two games, both of which were played by, and those of you who actually speak Korean, forgive me for butchering his name, I think it's An Kuk-hyun, something like that. He's professional 3-dan, he's fairly good, and he's been playing the Nongshim this week. Now, I think this is his second game that he's played. He won the first one. This is the second one. I'm going to go over some brief highlights on why you should pay attention to this game, and I'll give the links in my description when I upload it onto YouTube. So if you want to download and review it, go ahead and look at that. But he is black this game. It begins off fairly normally, with some modern Joseki that we see in the upper right-hand corner. White's given himself a little bit of a target here. Pretty stable positions. White's going after territory. Black's after some influence. Obviously, next few moves progress, and we see Black try to make use of his influence, and then go on the attack. So pretty stable board so far. Definitely one in which we could envision ourselves being either black or white. However, this game quickly takes a turn. Over the course of this fighting, white gets Sente to go ahead and isolate these cutting stones, which become a group, and has now surrounded him. At this point, if anyone was tuning into this game for the first time, at this point, we would probably want to start putting our money onto white. The odds of black succeeding here probably aren't very good in our eyes. More so, if we continue to go along, and we come across this position. A position in which we can clearly see black is now in the middle of a Wicked Ko. His entire group here, not really certain what's going to happen to it. It needs its second eye. It has the one. If black connects, white's going to cut through, and now we don't know how this thing is going to actually live. So he's in a Ko for life. So our position kind of went from bad to worse. We have a few silver linings on the horizon. We do have potentially another Ko to cut through here, and maybe isolate white stones. So that's something to think about for the future. But definitely not a board that's clearly saying black's dominating this game. Definitely not one that we're going to go ahead and say this person clearly is going to win the game. If we progress along a little bit further, we see him exchange one Ko for another. So this group gets to live, gets to connect up. White's now trying to attack both the center while taking some more territory and eliminating the bulk of black's territory on top of the board. Keeping everything that he has then pretty much first and second line on the right. An invasion here which went ignored while fighting on the left. Again, it looks like a very uncomfortable board for black. However, most surprisingly, one thing that we actually see is that he's able to handle both positions very well. He's able to take some territory for himself, and wouldn't you know it, he actually reduces his opponent enough in endgame to go ahead and win the game by 3.5 points. This game was very surprising. It's one in which I did not give black very little credit. In fact, I actually tuned away from this game, assuming that he was going to lose. That just goes to show you the strength and tenacity of some professionals, especially this Korean professional. making it game... sorry, throat's still a bit scratchy. Making this definitely a game that's worth watching. And like I said, link should be in the description, so you can take a look at that. Definitely a very surprising game, one that can show us all that we should not give up until we have exhausted all of our Aji. Now, the very next game that he played, the following day, same thing in the Nongshim. Nongshim, for those of you who don't know, is a bit of a blitz for pros, but the key word there, of course, is blitz for pros. For us, it's still a very, very long game, you know, hours long. For them, not so much. But in this one, we see An Kokyun versus a professional, 9Dan, from Japan. And this game, I have to say, is straight out of the deep, dark recesses of my stereotypes. Because when I think of Japanese Go, I think of influence. I think of players like Yamashita Keigo and Go Seigen. When I think of Korean Go, I think of lots of fighting. I think of territory. And that's what we see here. As you can see, this time An Kokyun is white. The Japanese professional 9Dan, whose name I was dumb enough to not write down, is black. We can see that he has gone ahead and is taking influence for himself. He aggressively shoulder hit a small knight to go ahead and get influence up there, or down there, sorry, and he's even trying to go ahead and get some influence on the top of the board as well. So his strategy this game is complete influence, as I said, right from my stereotypes. This is the kind of game that I would expect from Japanese professionals. Fast forward a little bit. That does not change. In fact, it's encouraged. White continues to feed upon that. He's steadfastly going after his influence on the left, or territory, sorry, on the left side of the board. He's allowing himself to be cut, giving black a wall that spans the entire board, giving black an impressive moyo right here in the middle. A game that probably most of us would be very uncomfortable with, because we have to reduce that center, preferably without getting killed. How are we going to do that? Well, if we continue along, we can see that black is not simply going ahead and trying to kill his invasion, white's invasion. You can see from the top moves here and in the corner that, typically speaking, we want to use our influence for attack, or to fight. Here, black is using it for those purposes as well, but he's getting in some sente moves first, while white is busy, you know, playing, at the moment, Goten anyway, these moves in order to try to get a living group here. Black's going ahead and getting in some forcing moves on the top, on each side. He's getting rid of his weaknesses, getting rid of the stones that are left behind, those potentially cutting stones, while making some points for himself. So he's not immediately turning around and saying, I'm going to go ahead and try to kill you, or I'm going to resign. He is making points, he is solidifying himself, which is typically the proper way to go ahead and use your influence. Because it's very, very difficult to kill a single group when it knows it's under attack. And if you're playing in the middle of this, you know that you're under attack. So being able to kill it, a little bit unlikely. So he's trying to profit. This is typically the way I consider to be the right way of actually using influence when you're on this type of scale. Don't immediately try to kill, you try to profit, you try to secure yourself, and then if there's still weaknesses behind, you can go ahead and poke at those. And that's what we're seeing here. Unfortunately, it also means that he's giving up a lot. He's allowing white to live just to make sure that that group doesn't get connected. He's not really developing anything besides the top at the moment until this is responded to. So, bit of a question mark game for both players. Can white continue to live in the middle? Can black continue to get enough from attacking white in the middle? Was this a good strategy? As we see here, the game progresses, and white manages to connect up, as we would expect somehow, either life or connection up. But by connecting up, black is still undercut. He can still be invaded. There's Aji just all over the place. I mean, there's Aji on the bottom, there's Aji in the corners, there's Aji on the top to come up. I mean, there's so many moves that black wants to play in this particular game. He knows that he's not going to be able to. Instead, he goes and tries to reduce a little bit. When that fails, he sees that the Aji is remaining. He doesn't have enough points. He can't defend against all of this at once. And he goes ahead and resigns. So another very interesting game there, especially if you are having trouble reducing influence, or if you're having trouble potentially using influence. Maybe you find that you have influence, your opponent invades it, you attack it immediately, and then once that's settled, you have no idea what to do. This is a good game for both of those scenarios, and definitely another one which I would recommend checking out. So although this weekend I'm not able to go ahead and actually play some games for you guys, if you have some extra time, go ahead and visit the links in the description, download the games, take a flip through them. I think you guys are going to really enjoy them. If I encounter any other games that I want to point out to you, I'll probably go ahead and do so. Till then, I hope you guys are a lot healthier than I am, and I will see you all later.